welcome to the back room. We are so pleased that you have found us here again today. Quickly, I am your host, Hank Philippi Ryan, the USA Today bestselling author of 14 going on 15 novels of suspense. My current book is thank you, Mindy, is The House Guest, which went into a second printing after 6 days, and the Library Journal starred review called it binge-worthy. I am also the investigative reporter for Channel 7 here in Boston and have won 37 Emmys for investigative reporting. And I can report to you now that my new book, One Wrong Word, will be out February the 6th of next year. And that is lovely. And you'll be hearing, thank you, Casey. And you'll be hearing way too much about that when the time comes. Terah Shelton Harris. Hey, Terah. Hey, welcome. Is a librarian and freelance writer who now writes upmarket fiction with bittersweet endings. As a freelancer, her work has appeared in consumer and trade magazines, including Catapult, Women's Health, Every Day with Rachel Ray, Backpacker, Minority Nurse, and more. One Summer in Savannah. Hold that book up. Do you have it with you?
Yes.
I want you to hold that up. Congratulations. One Summer in Savannah is Terah's first novel, and it was out July the 4th. Michael Koryta is a New York Times, hey Michael, best-selling author whose work has been translated into more than 20 languages and has won or been nominated for, and hang on because here's a list: the Los Angeles Times Book Prize, the Edgar Award, Seamus Award, Barry Award, Quill Award, International Thriller Writers Award, and the Golden Dagger.
Wow.
I know. There we go.
Oh, sorry.
Golden of Sounds. I know, it's like a gasp. They've been selected as best books of the year by numerous publications. He also writes under the pen name Scott Carson, so you should ask him about that in the breakout room. His newest book is the literary thriller An Honest Man, which is coming July 25th. And Stephen King had something to say about An Honest Man, didn't he, Michael? Well, what did he?
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. When Mr. King weighs in, it is always surreal is the only word I really have for that.
We'll have to ask you about that in the breakout room, because I just want to know if he called you and said, hey, Michael, Stephen King.
I hung up on him immediately. No.
Exactly. I'll be like that. Welcome. Congratulations on another.
Thank you so much. Truly excited to be here. It's a pleasure.
Mindy Mejia's internationally acclaimed thrillers have been translated into more than 20 languages. Her books have been picked for People's Best New Books and listed in the Wall Street Journal's Best New Mysteries. A CPA and graduate of the Hamline University MFA program, she lives and works in the Twin Cities. Her newest book is the first in a new series, very exciting, called To Catch a Storm. Congratulations. And I saw you got a marvelous review in the New York Times.
Yes, that just hit today. That was exciting.
Nice. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I went newspaper hunting this morning.
Well, let me know. I can send you my copy. I'll send you another copy.
Good.
You can't have too many. That was very exciting. When I saw it, I yelped. I said, I know her. I love this book. And that's great. Nothing better. Finally, John Pruitt. Welcome, John. Covered the news of Atlanta, Georgia, and the nation for half a century as a top-rated and iconic anchorman and reporter with endless awards and honors. He draws on that wealth of experience with his debut novel, Tell It True, a story based on a Klan murder in Georgia shortly after the 1964 civil rights law took effect, and it is available now. Are you all seeing the screen moving like crazy on my computer? This is moving.
Yes.
On, so just put up with that again.
It's kind of fun.
The carousel version of the back room, and we will just go with it. Magic Tom in the back room is doing his magic to make this work, as he always does, and we will just proceed because we know you want to hear from all of these authors. Right now, what I'm going to do is ask each of our authors, well, we call it 20 questions, but it's really about 12 questions. Each author will get 3 questions from the Magic Backroom cards. So let's just persevere, and we'll go on with the first question, which is for Terah Harris. Terah,
I'm ready.
What was your favorite book as a child?
Oh my goodness, that's so difficult. I loved the Babysitter's Club books. by Ann Martin. I think those books, I mean, I remember when the Scholastic Book Fair would come by and I would just beg my mother, please, 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 please let me have a few dollars so I can go buy those books. And it was a series. It was the first time I really got introduced to what a series is. And it was a series of books. And I just remember wanting each one. And of course, you know, the Scholastic Book Fair didn't come around very often. And I grew up in a very small town, so I didn't get a chance to read the whole set, but I just adored those books.
That's so nice. Do you remember them now? Do you still have them?
I don't, and you know what, I wish I did. I regret that. I so regret that. But I do remember them because they're kind of reissuing them. And so they're starting to come back out again in different characters, and like as they have their own children now, I think that those books are coming out in. So yeah, I remember those very fondly.
So my daughter started reading the new ones.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? I loved them. I still remember it's like Claudia and Stacy. I still remember like some of the characters. So yeah.
That's just great. And now if they've reissued them, it's so the mothers and the daughters can read them together. That's our next question goes to Michael Koryta. And your question, Michael, is where did you grow up and how do you think that affected your writing?
So I grew up in Bloomington, Indiana, and that's a great question. I'd say it affected my reading because Bloomington, it's a college town. It's kind of like the quintessential college town. If you ever saw the movie Breaking Away, that is the campus of Indiana University in the town. And I was thinking about what Terah just said, and I remember the book fairs coming through were so exciting. And one of the things that really stands out from my childhood is my parents read for pleasure. And that was such a, you know, people will ask me, how do you get your kids to read? And I just saw people reading for pleasure. So it was like TV. It was just something that was fun to do. And I always loved books. And she just triggered a really good memory with that book fair rolling through. I loved it.
Anyway, next question is for John Pruitt. John, what was your first car?
Oh, that's easy because when I was in college, most of my classmates didn't have cars. And my first car I got in my senior year at Davidson College, and it was a light green Volkswagen Bug. And I was very proud of that car. I loved it because you could be driving down the road in the Bug and your gas tank would be empty and you'd start to sputter and you could reach down under the steering wheel and there was a little reserve tank switch and you could throw, and it gave you another 40 miles or so to find a service station. It had a little hatch in the top. It was just a neat Bug. Probably wouldn't do very well on college campuses today, but for me, my first car, I had a freedom I'd never known before.
And that's such a classic car.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought I knew about that reserve tank thing, and I thought, why don't they just put more gas in the tank?
There wasn't room. Oh, well, I think it's kind of a warning, you know. Hey, you're involved in this process. You're about to run out of gas. Here's a little jolt for you to remember to go to that gas station.
I think they questioned the IQ of the buyer right from the start.
You're going to buy this thing? Oh, okay. All right.
You don't know how to read a gas gauge.
Well, was it the 60s?
Yes, it was the 60s, the mid 60s, 64 actually.
All right. So say no more about why they would do that. Mindy, the next question is for you, and that is describe one thing on your desk and why it's there.
Well, I can show you. One thing on my desk, if anyone can see it, is this little dish full of like gems and shells and semi-precious stones, and I just use them like little fidgets when I'm working, when I'm writing. Usually I'm drawn to like one if I'm writing one particular character, but I always have like a little worry stone or shell or gem or something from that dish.
You refill it when you find a gorgeous, precious thing?
When I find something I like, yeah. It's getting really full now though, so I might need to start editing.
That's a metaphor for something, right? Gotta believe.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'd love to see that. So wonderful. So let's go through and ask each of you which book you are recommending to this audience. Terah, and we'll start with you.
Okay. I am recommending No Man's Ghost by Jason Powell, who is a New York City firefighter. And this book tells the story of Alan Johnson, who is a horrible human being, who cheats on his wife and gets kicked out of the house. And because he can't live at home, he decides that she can't be comfortable at home, and he starts to call in all these fake fires. Well, eventually those calling in fake fires is not enough for him, so he decides to actually start doing the real thing. At the same time, this coincides with Charles Davis, the main character of the book, whose first week as on the firehouse, is his first week. And so he's learning, and at the same time that Alan is calling in and making and causing all these fires. So it's a story really about good versus evil. You have Charles learning, trying to do the good in the world, but you have Alan, the evil person. So it's a nice little pull at evil versus good. So yeah, that is No Man's Ghost.
That sounds amazing. Michael Koryta, what book are you recommending?
The book I'm recommending is Mrs. Plansky's Revenge by Spencer Quinn, who also writes under the name Peter Abrahams. And I love this crime novel because it's a very original point of view. Mrs. Plansky is a woman, I think in her 70s, who is recently widowed, and she has she's the victim of a very sophisticated fraud. Someone calls and pretends to be her grandson needing bail money, and she makes a transfer on, I think it's Venmo or something like Venmo, and has essentially her entire life's wealth stolen. And I don't want to spoil it, but suffice to say, they have underestimated Mrs. Plansky. And so it's a great mystery, it's a great crime story, but it's also it's a wonderful human story about someone at a turning point in their life, and she's looking back on her own identity, how her family shaped it, and how she can shape theirs. And I absolutely love the book.
Mindy, what book are you recommending?
Well, I am recommending Prophet. Is actually not out yet. It's coming out in August 8th. And this book I got last month. I've already read it 3 times and I'm obsessed with it. I've thought about lending it to people, but I can't physically be parted with it until I can get my hands on another copy. So this book is for anyone who is just kind of tired of a specific genre. You're looking for something totally different. It's a genre-bending book, and it stars Sunil Rao, who's an ex-MI6 agent, and he has a supernatural power for discerning truth in all things, except for his partner, Adam, who is a US intelligence agent. It is a little bit of everything. It's speculative, it's noir, it's romance, it's horror. If you want to go on an adventure, this is an adventure to go on. I can't stop thinking about it. I just love it. And I'm telling everybody, but I can't lend my copy out until August 8th when I can get more.
That sounds amazing. And we'll end with you, John. What book are you recommending?
Well, it's not a new book, and I think many of the listeners will probably have read A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. You asked for a book that's had impact, and this one had great impact on me. Historical fiction is my genre. That's what I love. And I can't think of a better work of historical fiction than A Gentleman in Moscow. The story of Alexander Rostov, a Russian aristocrat who ran afoul of the Bolsheviks and was almost sentenced to die, but instead they exiled him to the Metropole Hotel in Moscow, which is a very plush place to be, but he can never leave.
Wasn't that fun? We hope you enjoyed that taste of what a backroom session is like. But more fun comes immediately afterward. That's when the audience is broken up into 4 breakout rooms, and each author in turn visits each room. We'd love to show you what a breakout session is like, because those relaxed face-to-face conversations between best-selling authors and readers are the hallmark of backroom events. But breakout sessions are never recorded, because what's said in the back room stays in the back room.